Signs she may be cheating. How to spot the red flags before it's too late, with Stoicism insights. Have you ever felt a strange change in the dynamics of your relationship? Did you sense that something was off, but couldn't quite put your finger on it? It's a tough situation, but many men find themselves ignoring certain signs that their partner may be drifting away. The problem is, by the time these signs are noticed, it may be too late. What if I told you that there are clear, albeit often subtle signs that can indicate a woman is about to cheat? And what if I also told you that by identifying these clues early, you could potentially avoid the heartbreak and preserve your relationship, or at least safeguard yourself from further disappointment? This might sound controversial, but the truth is that many people overlook these red flags, either due to complacency or fear of confronting the uncomfortable reality. In today's guide, I'm going to reveal counterintuitive behaviors that might indicate a woman is considering infidelity. By recognizing these signs, you can take proactive steps to understand what's happening in your relationship. This awareness may allow you to either address the issue or, at the very least, prepare yourself for a future free from painful surprises. Throughout this post, we will also touch on Stoicism, an ancient philosophy that teaches resilience in the face of adversity. It's a perfect approach to handling situations where emotions cloud judgment. Stoicism doesn't just teach us to endure pain, but also to deal with emotional turmoil in a way that keeps us grounded and wise. If you want to know how to spot these signs and avoid the heartache of being deceived, stay with me until the end of this article. I'll break down the key signs to watch for and how Stoic principles can help you navigate this potentially challenging situation. Sign 7. Sudden changes in behavior. One of the earliest indicators that something might be wrong in the relationship is when you notice sudden and dramatic shifts in her behavior. These changes often occur without any explanation, and they can be subtle at first. For example, a woman who once took pride in her appearance may suddenly start dressing provocatively or focusing more on her appearance than usual. She may spend more time in front of the mirror, try out new outfits, or even experiment with different styles of makeup. Perhaps even more alarming is a shift in how she interacts with you. If she used to enjoy certain activities you did together, watching movies, cooking, or simply spending quiet evenings at home, she may now seem disinterested or even irritated by these once cherished moments. In Stoic philosophy, we are taught to focus on things we can control and avoid becoming overly attached to things beyond our influence. In this context, you cannot control her actions, but you can focus on your own responses. If you notice these changes, the Stoic approach would be to observe with objectivity, not to leap to conclusions. Instead of letting emotions cloud your judgment, try to initiate a calm conversation to understand what's going on in the relationship. For instance, John, a 35-year-old bus driver, noticed his wife, Emma, had started dressing more provocatively and spending long hours away from home. Initially, he thought it was a passing phase, but it wasn't until he saw her emotionally distance herself that he realized something was wrong. When he confronted her, Emma admitted to having an affair with a coworker. This behavior is often a sign that she is seeking something outside the relationship to fulfill her emotional or physical needs. Sign 6. Increase in privacy. Another clear sign of potential infidelity is when she becomes overly protective of her privacy. This can manifest in several ways. For example, she may start carrying her phone with her everywhere, even when she didn't before. She might change her phone password or avoid letting you see her messages. If you used to have access to her social media accounts or email, suddenly she may refuse to share any information. In addition to becoming more secretive with her devices, she may also create new routines that don't involve you. Perhaps she starts spending more time with friends and goes to events that you're not invited to, or doesn't give you specific details about where she's going or who she'll be with. For example, Mark, a 30-year-old bakery clerk, noticed that his girlfriend, Sarah, had suddenly become very protective of her phone. She claimed she was meeting friends, but never gave specific details. Mark grew suspicious and eventually found a suspicious message from another man. When he confronted Sarah, he learned that she was indeed having an affair. Again, The Stoic approach here would be to manage your thoughts. If her behavior changes and you sense something is off, it's important to remain calm and engage in a conversation without assuming the worst. While it's vital to address your concerns, remember that attachment to outcomes can create unnecessary stress. Instead, focus on how you handle the situation and on making decisions that align with your values. Sign 5. Increased criticism and comparisons. If you start to notice that your partner is increasingly critical of you or constantly comparing you to others, it could indicate that she is dissatisfied with the relationship and might be seeking emotional fulfillment elsewhere. This criticism can manifest in seemingly small ways, such as complaining about your habits, appearance, or the way you do things. She may make comments about how other men are more attentive or how a friend of hers treats his partner better. Tom, a 28-year-old waiter, started noticing that his girlfriend, Lisa, always mentioned how attentive her coworker was. She'd casually remark on how he was more ambitious or kind in ways Tom didn't compare. At first, Tom brushed it off, but the criticism became more frequent, and Lisa began growing more distant. When Tom finally confronted her, Lisa admitted she had developed feelings for this coworker. This behavior can be a red flag, and rather than reacting defensively, a Stoic mindset would suggest calmly acknowledging her dissatisfaction and addressing it directly. Stoicism encourages us not to take criticism personally, but to reflect on whether there is any truth to it and how we can improve. If the criticisms persist, it may be a sign that she is emotionally seeking someone or something outside the relationship. Sign 4. New interests and hobbies. A woman who suddenly develops new interests or hobbies that don't include you could be seeking a way to reconnect with her individuality or to meet new people. For instance, she might start going to the gym regularly, attending yoga classes, or participating in activities she had no interest in before. And she does so without inviting you along. This might seem harmless, but it could be an indication that she's trying to create new opportunities for herself outside the relationship. Jake, a 40-year-old construction worker, noticed that his wife, Anna, started practicing yoga and attending evening classes. While at first he was supportive of her efforts to stay healthy, his suspicions grew when she started avoiding discussing the people she met in class. Eventually, Jake discovered that Anna had been seeing the instructor. While it's healthy for both partners to have their interests, it's important to observe whether these changes are creating emotional distance. In Stoicism, we learn to remain balanced in our emotions and not become attached to external things. If your partner's new interests seem to be leading to emotional detachment, it's essential to confront the situation with understanding and an open mind. Sign 3. Changes in sexual behavior. One of the more difficult signs to deal with is changes in sexual behavior. If your partner suddenly loses interest in intimacy or, on the other hand, begins suggesting unusual or risky sexual practices, it could be a signal that she is seeking excitement or novelty elsewhere. For example, Sam, a 45-year-old truck driver, noticed that his girlfriend, Emily, began avoiding intimacy. When he tried to discuss it with her, she would deflect the conversation. Eventually, Sam learned that Emily had become involved with a coworker, and her disinterest in physical intimacy with Sam made more sense. Changes in sexual behavior can reflect dissatisfaction or a desire to experience something outside the relationship. Stoicism teaches us to examine our feelings and desires without attachment to fleeting emotions. If you notice such changes, approach the topic calmly and seek to understand the reasons behind the change. Sign 2. Increase in arguments and tensions. If arguments start to escalate for no apparent reason, it could be a way of justifying dissatisfaction in the relationship. These tensions might surface over minor issues that wouldn't have been a problem before. She might criticize your behavior, attitudes, or the way you express yourself. These arguments may also serve as an emotional defense mechanism, creating space for herself to justify exploring a relationship with someone else. David, a 29-year-old baker, noticed that his girlfriend, Jessica, became irritable and argumentative over small issues. He felt constantly criticized and couldn't understand why things had shifted. When he looked into it further, David discovered that Jessica was having an affair with another man. Stoicism teaches that we should respond to frustration with patience and reflection, rather than with reactive anger. If arguments become frequent and intense, it's an opportunity to pause, reflect on the source of tension, and seek a productive conversation to address the issues without escalating conflict. Sign 1. Changes in communication. Perhaps the most telling sign of all is a shift in communication. If your partner used to call, text, or check in regularly, but now her responses are delayed, cold, or disinterested, it could be a signal that she's emotionally invested elsewhere. A once enthusiastic communicator may now give you one-word answers or avoid talking altogether. Robert, a 32-year-old attendant, noticed that his wife Michelle was taking longer to reply to his messages and seemed perpetually busy when he tried to call. Eventually, Robert discovered that Michelle had met someone online and was emotionally invested in this new connection. Changes in communication can often be subtle, but are significant indicators of emotional distance. Stoicism advises us to observe without attaching emotions to these changes. If you notice this shift, take time to assess how it affects you and address the issue with calmness and clarity. Final thoughts. While recognizing these signs is crucial, it's important to approach these situations with awareness and emotional control. Stoicism offers valuable tools for maintaining composure, focusing on what is within your control, and taking measured actions. Instead of reacting impulsively, use these insights to have open, honest conversations, whether to resolve the issues or to decide whether it's time to move on. By mastering your emotions and being mindful of the signs, you can protect yourself from disappointment and confusion in your relationships. Ultimately, relationships thrive on mutual respect, understanding, and honesty. And if things aren't working, the Stoic mindset encourages us to act in a way that aligns with our values, regardless of external circumstances.